This episode has been brought to you by Legacy Construction and Zenith. Hey guys, welcome back to this week's episode of Coach's Corner. Today we're going to stay along the game planning lines of things, and we're going to talk about scouting. What do we look for? What is our criteria when we're scouting opponent's offense? So as a defensive coordinator, as a defensive coach, when I'm scouting an opponent's team, what do I look for? What are the steps I take every week when I'm breaking down this opponent's video? Or if I don't have video from a youth perspective, when I'm looking at things live. Okay, so when I have to go and scout some teams. All right, I have to see things live. I got to take a pen and pad, or if I have to use my cellular device or whatever. Okay, so let's go over criteria that may help us break down a little bit more what guys are doing. All right? All right. First thing, guys, I like to look for is personnel. Personnel. All right, I got to see your key players. We got to see who their best players are, okay? As you have a quarterback, is he a dual threat quarterback? Is he a drop back passer? Does he have a good arm? Does he not have a good arm? Does he control the field well? What does he do? All right? And along the lines of that with the quarterback, who is the backup? You know, we all like to say, oh yeah, we get the quarterback out of there. Who is their backup? How effective is their backup? Has he played in past games or in previous games so that I can see his potential or what's going on? Or do we not know? Okay, so we also would like to find out a little bit more about the backup. As we move over, we go to our running backs. We got to see a key running back. Who's their inside threat? Who's their outside running threat? Do they use one running back? Do they use multiple running backs? All right, so how do we combat that? Okay, do they use a two-back system? Do they have a fullback? They got a big boy they're giving the ball to on the dive and traps, and they got a big lead blocker that we got to kind of account for. So we got to understand what's going on in the backfield there with personnel, okay? That receiver, now I got to know, do I got a jet guy? All right, do they got a guy they like to get to the ball right now and run bubbles with, or maybe run around in the jet, use for the reverse, use for quick pass? Do they have a tall receiver? Do they got a big guy that they throw the fade ball to, that they like to use on longer routes, play action, kind of get you downfield and get over top of you? So there's different things that you got to know. Do they have a big right guard or a big side of the line? Do they run to the big side or they run to the smaller side? Do the line flip? Some guys used to have a strong guard, a strong tackle, and a quick guard and quick tackle, and they flip the lines. All right, and some guys have bigger guys, or do some guys have smaller guys? Are they a cut blocking team, or well, you know, which is out of the game mostly? But are they up? Do they slide protect? Things like that. What do they do? Okay, to help benefit their personnel. Okay? So once we figure that out, we move on. We got key players, we know personnel. Let's go key players and also their worst players. Also your worst players. All right, you got to know, is there a weak lineman? So is there a weak lineman that we may be able to stun on or use a blitz, maybe get him off? Is there a weak running back, or there a weaker receiver so we can kind of maybe do something and man him up and use a shell to the field and kind of play a separate kind of thing? What are they? Okay? So we got to be able to identify strengths and weaknesses of each team. Okay? All right? Now, so number 2, what do they like to do? So what do they like to do as an offense? All right? And now when we go to what do they like, okay, as we watch, we got to say what? Their formations. So what are their favorite formations? All right, some teams are heavy by their personnel. We can kind of tell what they do with their formations. So what are their formations? Are they a trips team? Are they a true spread team? Do they get in the I formation? Are they in split? And what do they do out of their formations? Each team will know. So out of their formations, what do they do well? Do they run? And what are their passes? All right? What are their passes? What do they like to do? Now, when you're scouting high school, you don't really want to have a book full of a whole bunch of different runs. You want to see the runs that they use, the most effective, and the runs that are benefit. You don't want to practice on a whole bunch of different plays and not get good at any. Okay, it's stopping some. So you got to pick out their top 3, 4, 5 run plays, mix them in throughout the week, and then on the game week, make sure that you're solidified in what you're doing against those. Okay. Also in the passing game, get their favorite routes, the combinations that they like to use, the screens, the bubbles, and however they like to use that, how they work their motions and shifts, everything that they do with their formations. You got to get that, and you got to get that down. Okay. So, and what they do at each formation. So you got to have it, the run, the pass plays, and their favorites. All right. All right. Now, out of that, their plays. All right, some guys are run heavy. All right, plays and the direction of their plays. All right, they run heavy. Some guys are right-handed. All right, look what they do when they're on the hash. All right, and then very important, down and distance. All right, down and distance. So, what plays are they running? When they get in this formation and this formation is on the right hash and they're into the boundary, do they run the ball into the boundary? Or do they run the ball to the field? Okay, you got to be able to understand. Now there's software, so you got Huddle and things like that, Crossover, and other softwares, Exo Sports, other different things like that that you can kind of get on online, and they'll help you with the tendencies. So they'll help you with what's going on. So they'll tell you that if there's a team on the right hash, they're in this formation 20 times out of 35 plays, and from the right hash, when the ball's into the boundary, they run this play such and such percent of the time. Okay, so it's things that you can do, but if you can figure it out, it kind of helps, and it does help you in game calling situations. But you really want to know what they do. So when you get there into the hash and you know that this team likes to run to the field, and you can kind of do things to the field and do some other things into the boundary. If they're a boundary running team or a boundary passing team that will throw the ball and do things into the boundary, then you have to plan accordingly. Okay, so you want to know what you do in the field, going in from the 30 in, what they like to do. When they get to the 20-yard line, this team's throwing fades. We got to know what they're doing, so we got to kind of get a key on that. So you got to see what's going on. All right, you got to understand that. When they're backed up, what are they going to do? When they're from the 20, on their 20 coming out, what do they like to do? Do they like to take a shot? Do they like to try to ground it out? Okay, what are they doing? What are they doing on 1st and 10? What are they doing on 2nd and 9, 2nd and 7? What are they doing 4th down? What are they doing in red zone situations? Okay, what are you doing for a 2-point conversion? All right, and if you're lucky enough, what have you seen their trick play? Do they have a trick play? Okay, you gotta see all these things when when breaking down another team. All right, all right. All right, then, now, once you pretty much break all this thing down and what you like to do on film and what they like to do by down and distance, and you figured out who their key players are, okay, what you do now is you devise what you're going to do to stop them. All right, now, what a lot of people got to understand is that you got to stay within yourself when defeating an opponent. So understand, you got to do what you got to do. You only have a certain amount of days to prepare for another team. So you don't want to change a whole bunch of things. If they're doing some things that are confusing, just use what you have, okay, and make simple adjustments that are easy for your kids, easy for guys to recognize, and that can help them as far as taking away what the opponent does best. The whole key to that is taking away what they do best and making them do things that they don't do as well, that they don't practice as much. Okay, that they don't have a lot of time. So you spend more time working on your passing game to the right and throwing your bubbles and your screens, and we want to take that away, okay, and make your quarterback throw the ball downfield and make you run the ball more. Okay? If you run the ball heavy, then we know we want to stack up on the run and make you beat us passing the ball. So you got to be able to identify those things. And while you're going to do those things, you got to understand, what directly am I accomplishing? Like, what is my goal and what do I need to do week to week to win this game defensively? Okay? Now, one thing that I'll leave you with before we get out of here is you got to win 3rd down. No matter what level of football, if you can win 3rd down, then you can win most of the situations. So if you can get a team into 3rd and long and predictable 3rd down situations, then you have a higher chance of winning 3rd downs. We put you in a better position, okay, to get the ball in better field position and a better way for your offense to help you out. All right? Guys, thank you for joining me this week. Hope that we can get things together. Hope that this helped you, okay? And you can use it, all right, when you're scouting and going on to the season. All right, see you guys next week.